Adventures in Gaming
with Big Man Anthony
and Little Man George. All right, let's do this.
Did you watch the Xbox?
Yeah, the Developer Direct.
Developer Direct.
I know.
Yeah, I was going to call it something else, but I said, you know what? Let me wait.
These names get complicated. Yeah, so they basically showcased 4 games. Did you watch it?
I did, but I saw honestly, I saw the sum up because that developer thing, like sometimes those shows are kind of boring because it's meant for developers, it's not meant for the gamers, you know. But I did watch the sum up, and I did watch some interesting stuff. I mean, technically, it's happening what they're saying. They're happening is what I feel. They're finally coming out with their games and stuff like that. Are they totally exclusive to Xbox? I don't think so because it's a Game Pass thing. So wherever has Game Pass is going to have it, right? It's going to be on as much systems, and that's what they were trying to say. I think they're moving a lot into becoming a developer of software, and also I think they're going to be selling that Xbox OS. But talking about out of that section, let's go into the games. Did you think that any of those games were like something that took your eye, that took your interest, or anything in particular?
So the big question I have is, do you call it Ninja Gaiden or Ninja Gaiden?
I call it Gaiden.
Yeah, me too. And how come nobody else does? I think we grew up calling it Ninja Gaiden, like in the arcade, on the Links, on NES.
It bugs me out when people say it the other way.
They say Gaiden.
And I feel like because I base it on the fact that we said it years ago that way, like you're saying, and now they're just, I hate to say the word, but a little ignorant on how we said it, so they made up their own version of it. Yeah,
and I can't change, so it's like I'm too used to saying Ninja Gaiden. So Ninja Gaiden 4, that looks incredible to me. I mean, that's a game I would definitely get. I like the modern Ninja Gaiden games. I played them on the 360, and I want to get the collection on the Switch. They have a collection of Ninja Gaiden 1, 2, and 3. These are the modern games, not the old games, not the old arcade game and not the old NES games, which are completely different 2D games. I really like that. And I'll point something out as we go through these games. So this game says available for Game Pass, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series S, PC, and PlayStation 5. It says it right in the Xbox Direct that it's for a PlayStation 5. Now, it's not uncommon that like when a company like PlayStation or Nintendo has a Direct and they showcase games, those games will come out. Some of the third-party games come out on other platforms, but they don't say it in their own Direct. At a Nintendo Direct, they'll never say that game is also coming out on PlayStation or Xbox. Same thing with PlayStation.
Yeah, people are always wondering, but I think they wanted to make a statement, and I think I know what the statement is, and I think I understand the strategy. I mean, you don't believe in the strategy, but I think I kind of understand the strategy. So the strategy underlying that is that it's going to come out on Game Pass, right? Mm-hmm. So when they say PC, Game Pass. When they're saying Xbox S or X, it's Game Pass, right? When they're saying all these systems, they're saying pretty much Game Pass. But when they say PlayStation, it's not Game Pass. But here's the thing. On Game Pass, like they're saying, Game Pass is what? Membership? Free. So you're getting a full blown out one, like most of these games cost around $100 for AAA to get the full version, and that's what you're going to get in Game Pass. While in PlayStation, they're going to sell it to you. So it's still going to make money. It may not be exclusive, but if PlayStation people want to just buy it, yeah, sure. But it's always going to be in the back of their mind because I have friends who play PlayStation, and they're always like, you know what? I want to pick up a Xbox Series S. Just because I want to have it there for like Game Pass, and that's what they say. Just because I want to have Game Pass, know.
Don't you think like not putting it on PlayStation 5 would increase the value of the Xbox hardware? You can only get that game on an Xbox.
Yeah, I think
or through a Game Pass subscription, meaning the subscriptions might go up if you can't play it anywhere else.
Yeah,
I know you're saying they kind of want like the best of both worlds. They want the Game Pass subscriptions, and then they want it for sale on a PlayStation 5 to get the full price of the game, but that's not going to make anyone buy an Xbox.
But let's be honest. How much do they have to catch up on exclusive games? They have a lot, right?
Well, now they're just giving out their exclusive games.
No. But let's just say they wanted to do your system and the way PlayStation is doing it. So if they wanted to do that, they would have to surpass. Like right now, even if they were at even amount of exclusive games, people will still be on the PlayStation platform because that's where they bought their games. So most of their titles are there. So it would take a lot more than just a few, than just having the same amount of exclusives in PlayStation for them to move over. It would actually take them, let's say, let's say at least 1.5 times for them to be like, yo, that system looks like it's moving with exclusives and they're all good. I'm moving to the Xbox. And yeah, that would be the perfect strategy. I give it to you. But that's hard as hell. And I don't think they have all I don't think they have that many games to do that. So the best strategy here is to grab the games they have, right? And charge it on PlayStation so it hurts, because it hurts. It's like, yeah, these people are getting it for free and these people are getting it and it hurts. And you could cross play those games. So the people on PlayStation, on Xbox is like, yeah, no worries, I have it because it was free, you know?
Yeah, I think now it's hard. It's hard because they almost can't go back now. That's what's making it hard. They kind of,
Oh, it's hard to catch up, is what you're saying. Well, that's the truth.
It was hard to catch up because I mean, you could go back to almost.
They let the exclusives go. Yes,
they let the exclusives go. So I mean, now the cat's out of the bag, sort of. Yeah, like that's it. I don't know that you could, kind of flip flop and go back to the way they used to do things. It would be very confusing for people. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how this
people like me
works.
or Marlon who have both consoles. What we do is like we tell our friends like, oh yeah, I have Diablo. Yeah, I have it on the Xbox for free. So let me just jump on that one. Oh, you know what? I have that game on Xbox. And then honestly, I start seeing people go once in a while like, you know what? A Series X is only like $200 sometimes, like on sale. I should just pick that up at that price, and then I'll have Xbox. I'll get all those games for free instead of paying $60, $80 for the, that same game for one game. I see where they're going with it, and they're making it like an accessory. It's not going to be like, oh, the way they're making it is it's not going to make them the number one, but at least it'll keep them around, let's say 80% and in sales of what PlayStation is,
Well, anything's an Xbox, so they said it. Anything's an Xbox.
I don't know.
Or everything's an Xbox. Everything's an Xbox.
Well, now that they're doing the Xbox OS, it's going to be for real now, real Xboxes. And I don't know. I don't know if they're going to pull people with that. I don't know. The strategies are different. The strategies are definitely something they have to come up with, because it's just going to be something that if they try to just catch up to PlayStation and exclusives right now, they would have to spend so much money. I don't think they can do it.
I think they already spent the money. That's the whole point. They bought all these studios. They bought Activision. They did it already.
They're not administrating it correctly.
They can have these exclusives.
But it's hard to do AAA games. I mean, look at everyone saying these days it's harder and harder to make games because these games are becoming more realistic. There's so many details that people have to look at, like how the water glistens, how it moves, how the air affects things, and like there's a lot of elements too.
I think they don't have to make every game that realistic. I don't think they have to make every game.
No, Nintendo's a proof of that.
And so is PlayStation with Astrobot being such a big hit. Astrobot was a huge hit for PlayStation, and they kind of proved that they could have some of that.
Xbox has a lot of elements, man. Even the way you control,
but it's like not the triggers
and everything, man. The game is good because of a reason. It looks like there's been a lot of.
Yeah, but it's not for the graphics necessarily. It's for the gameplay. People are having fun with it, like they do with Nintendo games. It's not really one of these, super realistic games that took a decade to make.
That's true. That's another way of looking at games, which I think developers should look into these days, which is totally real. Stop going into the realistic graphics so much.
Have like one or two of those games. Like you don't have to have every game, because sometimes you watch these like showcases and some of these games start to all look the same, after a while, because they're so realistic. And for me personally, I mean, how my gaming tastes are probably different than yours. But I've never, been that interested in hyper realistic graphics. I'm impressed that the hardware can do it. I'm impressed that these game developers can make games look like that. But those aren't the games that appeal to me visually. Just visually, they don't appeal to me. right? I like something that doesn't look realistic. I like
Cell
a
for instance,
fantasy,
right?
huh?
Yeah, cell shaded, for instance.
Well, cell
That's
shaded,
a
but not just
when
cell
first cell
shaded.
shaded came out. It wasn't realistic, but it was a whole different way of looking at how to build video games. That like Borderlands started like using cell shaded, and it's a totally interesting, nice game. It doesn't look like bad graphics. It's just a different way of looking at it. So I kind of like the fact that
I
the
think there's room for everything. I just
to
don't
be
think
ultra
that,
realistic,
you
like
know.
you're saying. Like every time you see an Unreal trailer, it's always like, can you tell the difference between the realism and not real? The whole Matrix ad was about realism and not real. But yeah, you're right. I agree that developers should start thinking about more about how fun the game is, how original it is, what new game styles they can think of. I mean, like there's a lot of games that have very different forms. Like you got the first player games, you got the shooters, you got the racing games, and then there's the combination games like Rocket League. It's like a car and like a sports game. It's like there's a lot of ways that you can mix things up and make them original, make them different, make them fun without the need of it being the ultra sick graphics that you see. Helldivers, for instance, is that super ultra realistic, and the best part about it is that they have these grungy, dark scenes and very like what do they have like very misty kind of like environments, so you can't barely even tell the graphics, and it makes part of the elements, which is what made the game good. Like all of a sudden you're in this fog, and next thing you know you were right next to an enemy, and you didn't see it, so it makes it kind of cool, kind of there he is, that kind of stuff. So it's not about the graphics anymore. It's what I believe is what the mistake that people are making, and I wish maybe, like you're right, Xbox could be popping out games that are more fun, original, instead of just waiting for these super AAA games to come out.
Well, the good news is, so Ninja Gaiden 4 comes out in the fall, so
Yeah,
not
yeah, that
not
looks
too
good.
far
That
away.
looks really good, actually. I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, they also had South of Midnight, which does not say coming to PlayStation 5, which is interesting.
Did you see the game? The games have a nice mix-up.
It looked good.
I mean, from
It's
adventure
like an
to
adventure game. Yeah, no, I
yeah,
would
they
play
have a
that
nice
game.
mix-up.
I would definitely play that game. That game comes out April 8th, so it's
Yeah,
not far, from now at all.
I know about that one too. Yeah.
I like that game. The game I probably liked the least was Expedition 33, which seemed like more of like an RPG style game, which I'm not that into. But that does say coming to PlayStation 5
Okay.
in Xbox Direct, April 24th. So not too far away either. I mean, and
Do you think
Doom.
they're gonna have the same launch date though? Maybe they're
I
gonna
think they
have
are though, because
Xbox games come out a little earlier,
it doesn't
right?
say that. I think
Well,
it's
it doesn't say that, but they don't. I mean, it doesn't say it doesn't either. So there's a possibility they could hold back on those games for a couple of months, and
well, they did that with Indiana Jones, right? So that was
yeah,
an Xbox
yeah,
exclusive, and it's coming to PlayStation. But that doesn't seem to apply here.
that's sort of an exclusivity right there. You get an early look and you get a free. So there's a lot to Game Pass. You're getting an early exclusive AAA game that comes early to
But
you,
you're
and you
saying
get it for
that they don't
free.
say that.
Well, it's not free; it's a membership,
No,
but
but I mean,
still.
like, I don't know that these games are coming later to PlayStation. I don't think they are. I think they're coming day and date to
No, but I'm
Xbox
saying
and
that's a
PlayStation.
good strategy if
It's a
that's what they're
strategy, but
doing.
they're not doing it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they
I'm
did
not.
it
I'm
with
not saying that we're not saying. Well, we can't say they're not either. It could be, and it could
well, it
not.
doesn't say that.
That
It
strategy
just
they're
says,
going with, that's awesome. That's pretty cool.
and then Doom: The Dark Ages, which I think looked really good. I like Doom. I like the old games and I like the new games. I liked Doom 2016. That was the modern reboot of the Doom series, the
Yeah.
next gen Doom. I didn't like Doom Eternal as much. That was the follow up to Doom 2016. I didn't
What
like it
did
as
you
much.
like about it? Because I don't know why I didn't
You
either,
didn't either,
and
right?
I can't really place my.
Like the environments were not as creative and interesting. It was a little dull looking, even though it was a newer game. I just didn't appeal to me as much.
But I think that the only thing I can think of is that what made Doom so good was that it was simple. Just aim and shoot. You knew your enemy. It's a very basic, simple, and fun game, right? And I think that the newer versions, I guess they just add so much to it there's more complexity to it.
Mhm.
It's faster also. I don't know if you noticed the game
They're
is so much
fast. Yeah,
faster.
yeah.
So that also
But
kind of
the
like
old games were fast too, though.
yeah, but
If you go
this
back and
game
play them, you might be surprised because maybe you haven't played them in a long
it
time.
depends on the
They're
computer.
kind of
If
fast.
you remember, like if you go back and play it, yes. But the reason why is because we have better hardware now. But back in the day, the hardware was not at where we were at, so it felt slower. It felt like a slower game. It felt like you had more time. And in the new one, everything is so instant. It's like you have to have those super twitchy Call of Duty instincts, you know?
Well, those
And not
games, the old Doom games, are fun to compare because those were on a lot of platforms. You can get those obviously on PC. You can get it on Super Nintendo. You can get it on Atari Jaguar. You can get it on 32X. Those are
yeah.
all different versions of the same game, which I think, those are kind of cool to look at. But this looked really good to me. Doom the Dark Ages looked really good to me. May 15th. Yes, it's on PlayStation 5. I would definitely get this game. However, something
Yeah.
interesting. It doesn't say any of these games are coming to Switch 2, right?
Yeah.
But I think Nintendo is waiting to make these announcements themselves because it seems like Microsoft is all on board with the Switch 2. But I
Yeah.
think Nintendo reserves the right to announce these games. They
Yeah.
don't want them being announced, during an Xbox Direct. They want them being announced at a Nintendo Direct. And I think Ninja Gaiden 4 and Doom the Dark Ages are going to come to Switch 2.
I think that whole conversation with Nintendo about having Game Pass on the Switch is dead. You think that's dead?
I think, well, Phil Spencer is a big Nintendo fan,
Yeah.
and he actually said recently that he reached out to the president of Nintendo after the Switch 2 reveal. And I mean, they're on very good terms, but I don't think
You can't see
Nintendo
it. How it would
wants.
work.
I think it's too complicated to have Game Pass on a Nintendo.
Games Game Pass that aren't available on Nintendo Store, it could be a possibility for them to have like a Nintendo version of Game Pass. You know,
Yeah, it would have to be like a very different version. It would have to be games, like you said, that aren't available because I think that's a conflict of interest. I don't know. Like, would you choose to buy an indie game on the Switch or would you just get it on Game Pass? And how does the indie developer feel that thought they were.
it is a different way of doing it because
But
like
that's
Ant
two different versions of the same game.
but look, but on Antstream, they have like Neo Geo games that I can either buy on the Nintendo Switch, or I can go on Antstream and get it and stream it off of that service.
But that Antstream is not on the Nintendo Switch.
Is that?
No.
No, but it's coming,
It's
I
on
think.
PlayStation.
Oh, okay, on PlayStation.
Yeah.
All right.
So I don't know that they would.
It can kind of work.
I don't know how it would work really. I think they would have done it by now. Actually, I think they would have done it a few years ago. I wouldn't say it's out of the realm of possibility. I think there's a small chance that it would come to Nintendo Switch, but I wouldn't bet on it. I don't think it will. I think they'll continue to roll out select games for the Switch, and
Yeah.
I think that's what Nintendo wants. I think, like I said, I think some of those games are coming to the Switch too. Now, there's been a lot of rumors recently about third-party games coming to the Switch too.
Yeah.
Now they said, Microsoft is on board, Sega's on board, Electronic Arts is on board. No surprises there. They were doing stuff for the original Switch. But as far as games, this is like a list of games that have made the rounds the past week or so. Diablo 4.
I've been playing that.
Now, huh?
I've been playing that one.
Oh yeah, I mean I played 3. I didn't play 4. Well, Diablo 4 with the mouse Joy-Con might be interesting.
Yeah,
that could be interesting. But I like the Diablo games. I would get Diablo 4. Call of Duty, I don't know which. I think they want to get to a point where the newest Call of Duty just comes out on the Switch.
Switch would be sick.
It's going to happen because they already talked about it.
Game changer for a lot of people.
I think it is. I mean, it's happening. I would almost bet that either the newest one is going to come out on the Switch when the Switch 2 launches, or
to kind of have like the little the controller from the Switch, and maybe a little small computer pads on the other side. I could see that happening.
Yeah, I could see it happening. I think it is happening. I think they're going to get to a point where the newest Call of Duty game just comes out on the Switch like it does on PlayStation, Xbox.
Oh,
Elden Ring, they're saying that's one of the
wow,
rumored games.
that's a great
So
game.
one of the
That's
biggest
a
games.
tactical game too.
Starfield,
Wow.
Metaphor, which a lot of people are playing Metaphor.
Yeah, these are big AAA games. Yeah.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Oh
Uh,
wow, that's a great game. That's a great game that Nintendo has needed a game like that.
well, they have the older Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
have
but
they have the older
you
ones.
are just amazing. Yeah, yeah,
Metal Gear Solid Delta,
yeah.
Flight Simulator, which is an Xbox game.
I Simulator is really hard.
Yeah. I've never played it. You played it?
We streamed half streamed and half on this.
Yeah,
On this.
yeah. Cause it's basically like
It is huge.
it's like Earth.
Downloading the whole game.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest games I think they have on the Xbox.
And Fallout 4, Tekken 8, and Halo the Master Chief Collection, which I think would be really cool. No, I mean these are all rumored games. I'm not sure. I wouldn't say any of them are, 100% confirmed, except for Call of Duty, which basically is confirmed. Um, and I think that this will be one of the big differences with the Switch 2, is that besides all of the Nintendo games obviously being available for the Switch 2, you're going to get the latest third-party games. And I think that's what's going to be part of the selling point for the Switch 2. I think that they're going to say, we can actually be on par with the other consoles, and you're going to get the third-party games. I'm sure it's not going to be like the best versions of each game, but I don't think they're going to be like that far off, and I think that's going to be one of the reasons to buy a Switch 2. I think that's how they're going to market it. Nintendo, everyone always says they don't talk about power, right? They used to. If you go back to the Super Nintendo and you go back to the Nintendo 64, they talked about power. They used to talk about how powerful their systems were. I don't know if they're going to do that with the Switch 2, but there has to be a hook, right? There has to be a reason. They have to say something to get you to buy the Switch 2. It's not just that it's bigger. It's not just that it's, got new Joy-Cons, mouse Joy-Cons. It has to be that it can handle, next generation or current generation games. And I think that once you see that,
I don't think it'll have a problem, because I was looking recently into YouTube. There was a guy who puts videos and says, what resolution do you think these games are playing at? And he was playing games that are 360p, right? And they looked like they were at least 1080.
mm-hmm.
And I couldn't believe my eyes. So I'm saying, if that's possible, there's no way that Nintendo can't do 4K. Maybe not on the screen, because the screen probably they capped it. But maybe on the TV, definitely.
I think that's what it'll be. I think they're talking about DLSS. I think there's going to be a way for them to output 4K through upscaling and AI, and it won't be like that. In portable mode on the handheld, it won't be. I think it'll be 1080p, but I think that they might use the word or the term 4K. I think they might do that. I don't think they're going to say, someone said this. I was listening to a podcast. I forgot who said it, but someone said, I don't think Nintendo has ever mentioned frame rates. Ever. Like, Nintendo has never talked about frame rates. So,
yeah,
I could see them saying 4K. I could see them saying that these games are in 4K because they do use the term HD. So that's kind of the next logical, step is HD, which was basically 1080p, 4K.
Yeah.
I could see them using 4K in advertising, maybe putting it on the box, stuff like that. What do you think? You think they're willing to talk about power in terms of saying a game is in 4K or the Switch 2 can output 4K?
I think so. I think they're going to show, and if not, they're probably going to say something like near 4K graphics at the worst instance. But I think they're going to say it. Yeah.
And do you think they're going to explain it like, oh, it's through DLSS? They might say AI. They might.
I don't think. I think they'll explain it in the trailer when they announce it, but I don't think it's going to be something explained every time they do an ad to just show off graphic. They'll just say 4K.
I agree. I don't think they're interested in tech terms. I don't think they want to go too far into, you know, DLSS and AI upscaling and artificial intelligence. I don't think they want to go that route. Although everyone seems to talk about AI these days anyway, I don't think it's like too crazy of a concept for someone to understand something's being done through AI. But yeah, I think they're going to have to. They're going to have to talk about power in their own Nintendo way, in their
Yeah.
own sort of friendly Nintendo, you know, way of getting the message across. Back when they were like we talked about how they were adding chips to Super Nintendo games, and they would just say, "Oh, these games like Star Fox, they have an FX chip," and that's it. And it kind of sounded cool, like an FX chip. Like that. They didn't get into it too much. They didn't really say,
You
you
could
know,
call like the DLSS
something else, right? Like
something,
like
yeah,
Apple
like a
does.
with the Nintendo boosted,
Hmm.
booster
Yeah.
built into every game, where now you could boost up to 4K graphics and
Hmm.
AAA games. Like I can see something like that being advertised like in that same exact way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like Sega would say, blast processing.
yeah. I used to love all those things because you used to just when you heard terms like that, it would just make you think like, what is that? Like,
Yeah, they were saying that their processor was faster than the Super Nintendo, which is not a lie. It was true, but they came up with a way to, market it instead of saying like the technical specs of the processor are this that. They
yeah,
said blast processing, and it worked. It was cool. And I think Nintendo does similar things, and I think Apple does similar things. They don't call it artificial intelligence; they call it Apple intelligence. Stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. But I hope that they do something like that because I like when companies actually do have their own originality, their own identity.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, and it works in marketing. It works in commercials. It's a
yeah.
it's an easy thing to understand. But yeah, I think one of the big selling points of the Switch 2 will be the third party games. Back on the Switch 1, they would use a term called an impossible port, meaning they would get Doom, Eternal, and they would get Witcher 3 and Skyrim, on Switch, and they would call them impossible ports. That's what the internet would call them. And I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
think like that term needs to exist anymore once they just get the third party games that everyone else is getting, you know, it should run on the Switch too. So they're not going to make a big deal out of it.
That is good until those portables come out of PlayStation and Xbox, and then it's a whole new ball game. Us pause it there and see one advantage Nintendo already has. One, they already have the portable market. Number two is that most consoles won't have or they won't be able to get the exclusives that Nintendo has. Again, going back to your theory, right, having the exclusives. So that's a positive thing for Nintendo. And most likely, the prices of the Nintendo Switch is going to be a lower than Xbox or PlayStation Portable that comes out.
So let's wrap this show up with this one last topic. What do you think the Switch 2 will cost? Because some people say 4 or 450 if they pack in Mario Kart, and then some people even think it could be 350, which I don't. But what do you think? I think 400. That's my guess.
Yeah, I think they're going to probably stick to a lower, yeah, like at least 400, because it would. I mean, Nintendo always goes by not going with the craziest specs, but being able to be affordable
Hmm.
so that it gets into everyone's hands, and so that moms don't think about twice. They just go to the store and just say, "Okay, fine, here's your new Nintendo," and at the same time, the DLSS is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. And the new updated, like ray tracing processor and all that stuff that's inside of it, the fact that they waited so long for it to come out, not the normal like
No,
six
like
or whatever.
yeah, 5 or 6 years. They went 8+
Yeah,
years.
they
Yeah.
went to 8 plus. So at that point, yeah, they should have been able to get way better chips to be able to make such a nice jump. So it wouldn't be like the type of jump that normal consoles, you see very minimal. So I
Right.
think, yeah, it's going to definitely be something nice. And I have nothing to say more about that, though.
Well, I think that the OLED
Yeah.
model sold pretty well, and that was 350. So if they sold the OLED for 350, they're probably thinking we could sell the Switch 2 for more.
Yeah, for a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say 4. That's just my guess. There's rumors that they might pack in Mario Kart as a separate bundle, and that would be more, maybe 450. Are you good for now?
Yeah, no, I think we covered everything.
I think we're going to take a trip down memory lane with the next episode a little bit because we're going to talk. We have to talk about your favorite console of all time. I'm not going to say what it is right now, but I'm just going to. We'll talk
Okay.
about it next time. But all right, I'm good.